So I've noticed in myself that I have maybe more of an intellectual bent to my personality, where I tend to do a lot of research and thinking, but I also recognize that I would like to be much more balanced in the experiential, doing practices. And what can you say as far as advice to not being in so much of the intellectual center?
What we would advise is merging them both. Because if you study the idea of hermetic sciences or magical sciences, what you'll find is they are, in fact, sciences. There's all types of data and information that you can utilize to really deepen your relationship to the practices. This prevents it from seeming woo, because you'll understand that every step of the process that is on the magical path is a step that is correspondent to many other dimensions, and all of this can be mapped out, all of this can be analyzed, all of this can be observed and tested. So you can actually marry the intellect with that quality, what you would call the sensualist or the direct experiencer. You can make these things one. And in that way, your intellect will serve you in a much deeper level than if your intellect just sort of remains up in the clouds. You bring it with you into the direct experience. Don't necessarily let it become over analytical and block you from the direct experience. Rather, use your intellect to reflect upon the direct experiences you have had.
That is why I'm drawn to the magical path, is that it is a science. And I often think that magic is sort of the science of the future. It's a science of consciousness, right? It's a holistic science.
Precisely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When your sciences finally begin to tap into that, there will be nothing that is off limits for your species.
When we were talking about spirit guides earlier, you mentioned that I have connections with a being or beings from Sasani. So in that way, you are sort of Tyler's spirit guide, one of his spirit
Yes.
guides.
Yes, absolutely. You could classify us as this. Yes.
Okay. So in that way, your spirit guides are often your sort of future selves.
This can be the case, not always, but absolutely can be.
Hmm.
So we'll talk about it like this. Sometimes your spirit guides are counterparts, past versions of yourself, future versions of yourself. These past and future versions of yourself have their own lives where they make friends, they have family. Sometimes the friends and families of those future and past selves are your present spirit guides as well. This also happens. And sometimes there are different animal companions that your past or future selves have interacted with. And these animal companions act as spirit guides in this lifetime. That's another way this can happen. And there are certain beings that choose to work with you when you're born. They're drawn to your energy, and they realize there can be a mutually beneficial relationship. For when a spirit works with a person from a place of benevolence and love, it allows for that spirit to evolve alongside the person, and allows for the person to evolve alongside the spirit. So that's another way this can happen.
So in that way, I would have counterparts or future selves in Sasami.
If you align with this, yes. Because ultimately, you are still in control of your timeline, if that makes sense. So there are infinite potentials that exist, and these guides that are of the future incarnation on Sasani represent an actualized potential. But you living your life in a certain way is what actualizes that potential for you. So we'll talk about it like this. If you wanted, this could be your final incarnation. You would simply have to build your life in a way that supports that. This lifetime could also be a lifetime that leads you into positive future incarnation. You just have to organize your life in a way that represents that. Regardless of what you pick, beings from actualized and non-actualized potentials can still contact you. Does this make sense?